The Secret Seven Stories of Enid Blyton. Secret Seven Win Through.
Easter holidays at last,
Said Peter.
I thought they were never coming, didn't you, Janet? Yes, it was a frightfully long term. We've broken up now, though, thank goodness. Don't you love the first day of the halls, Peter? Rather. I get a lovely free sort of feeling, and the halls seem to stretch out in front of me for ages and ages. Let's have some fun, Janet. Yes, let's. April's a lovely month. It's warm and sunny, and Mummy will let us off on picnics any day we like. Scamper, do you hear that? Picnics, I said, and that means rabbit hunting for you, and long, long walks.
Woof, said Scamper at once, his tail thumping on the floor and his eyes bright.
I vote we have a meeting of the Secret Seven as soon as ever we can,
said Peter.
Tomorrow, if possible. Picnics and things are much more fun if we all go together. Yes, let's have a meeting,
said Janet.
What with exams and one thing and another, all the Secret Seven have forgotten about the society. I haven't thought a word about it for at least 3 weeks. Golly, what's the password? Oh, Janet, you haven't forgotten that, surely,
said Peter.
You tell me,
said Janet, but Peter wouldn't.
You don't know it yourself,
said Janet.
I bet you don't. Don't be silly,
said Peter.
You'll have to remember it by tomorrow if we have a meeting. Better write out short notes to the other 5 and tell them to come along tomorrow. I'll bike round and deliver them. Now it's you who are silly,
said Janet.
If you're going to everyone's house, why not tell them about the meeting? All this note writing, you just tell them. All right. Just seems more official if we send out notes for a meeting, that's all,
said Peter.
What time shall we have it? 10:30, I should think. And just warn Jack that he's not to let his horrid sister Susie know, or she'll come banging at the door shouting out some silly password at the top of her voice. Yes, I'll tell him,
said Peter. Off he went, and was soon cycling to one house after another. He went to Colin first, who was delighted to hear the news.
Good-o,
he said.
10:30, right, I'll be there. I say, whatever's the password, Peter? You've got all day to think of it,
said Peter with a grin, and rode off to Jack's. Jack was in the garden mending a puncture in the back wheel of his bicycle. He was very pleased to see Peter.
Meeting of the Secret Seven tomorrow morning in the shed at the bottom of our garden,
said Peter.
I hope you've got your badge, and that your awful sister Susie hasn't found it and taken it. I've got it on, said Jack with a grin. And I wear it on my pyjamas at night, so it's always safe. I say, Peter, what's the password? I can tell you,
said a voice from up a nearby tree. The boys looked up to see Susie's laughing face looking down at them.
You don't know it,
said Jack fiercely.
I do,
said the annoying Susie.
But I shan't tell you, and you won't be allowed in at the meeting. What a joke!
Peter rode off to the rest of the 7. That Susie, she really was the most aggravating girl in the whole world. Next morning, Peter and Janet began preparing for the meeting. Meetings weren't proper meetings, somehow, unless there was plenty to eat and drink while they talked. Their mother was always generous in giving cakes or biscuits and lemonade. Janet made the lemonade, and Peter got a tin of biscuits and found some tarts. He cut them carefully into exact halves and put them on a plate.
Come on, Janet,
he said.
It's nearly 10:30.
Janet was ready. She put the jug of lemonade and 7 unbreakable mugs on an old tray and followed Peter out of the kitchen. They went along the path that wound between the bushes right down to the bottom of the garden, where the old shed stood that they used for their meetings. On the door was always pinned the sign SS. How many times the Secret Seven had met there and made exciting plans. Janet followed a little way behind, carrying her tray carefully. She suddenly heard Peter give a startled shout and almost dropped it.
What's the matter?
She called and tried to hurry. She came in sight of the shed and stared in horror. The door was wide open, and so were the windows. Everything had been turned out of the shed. There were boxes and cushions and sacks, all strewn on the ground in untidy heaps. She looked at Peter in despair.
Who's done this? Just as we were going to have a meeting too. Oh, it's too bad.
Peter looked into the shed. It was quite empty, except for the shelves round the sides. He was puzzled.
Here come the others,
said Peter, as Pamela and Barbara appeared down the path together. They stared in amazement at the untidy mess on the ground.
What's happened?
said Barbara.
Are we too early? No, we've only just seen all this ourselves,
said Peter.
Hello, here's Jack. Jack, look here. My word,
said Jack.
Who's done this? It can't be Susie. She's been with me all morning till I left just now.
Colin and George came up just then, and the 7 looked ruefully at the boxes and cushions thrown out so untidily. They began to put everything back, and then they heard footsteps coming along the path. Who was it? Peter looked to see. It was the gardener, carrying a strong broom over his shoulder, a pail of water in his hand, and some cloths hanging on the side of the pail. He stared at the 7 in annoyance. "Hey, you! What are you doing? Only just thrown all that rubbish out. Your father told me to clear out this place, burn all the rubbish, and do a spot of painting. He said it was going to rack and ruin, and he wanted it cleaned up."
I see,
said Peter, his heart sinking. If his father had planned this, there was nothing to be done. He turned to the others.
Come on, we'll go to the summer house. Oh, look, there's Mummy, Janet. We'll ask her about the shed. Mummy,
called Janet.
Why didn't you tell us the shed was going to be cleaned and painted? Our own shed, I mean, where we meet. I do think somebody might have told us. Oh, dear, I quite forgot to tell you that Daddy wanted it cleaned and mended,
said Mummy.
It was almost falling to bits here and there, you know. But you can have it for a meeting place again when it's finished. It'll look nice and bright and clean then. Go to the summer house just for now. We were going to,
said Peter, still very doleful. Soon they were all squashed into the little old summer house. They began to eat the ginger biscuits.
Rather soft, I'm afraid,
said Janet.
Peter, hadn't we better talk about where to have a new meeting place? Yes, and I vote that we all of us have a good hunt round to find somewhere, some absolutely secret place that even Jack's sister Susie won't find. It mustn't be too far away. I'll give you today to find one. Meet here this evening in this summer house again at 6 o'clock. Peter, could we have a new password?
said Jack.
Susie knows our last one. All right, we'll choose a new one,
said Peter.
It's time we did anyway. Easter egg. That's easy to remember because it's the Easter holidays. Right,
said everyone, and got up. They all went off up the path to the front gate, and most of them were murmuring 2 words to themselves as they went.
Easter egg, I must remember Easter egg.
At 6 o'clock that evening, there was a continual noise of footsteps up the path to the little summer house. Janet, Peter, and Scamper were inside, waiting.
Easter egg,
said Jack, walking inside.
Easter egg,
said Barbara, walking in too.
Where's your badge?
asked Peter sharply.
Oh, I've got it. It's all right,
said Barbara, feeling in her pocket.
I don't know why I forgot to pin it on.
She pinned it on carefully and sat down. The other 3 came along, each solemnly giving the password. Peter took a notebook out of his pocket and licked his pencil.
Now then, I want your reports on any likely places to meet secretly. Colin, you begin. Well, there's a fine big tree at the bottom of our garden,
began Colin hopefully.
It's a great chestnut and... no good, I'm afraid,
said Peter.
But I'll put it down. It would hardly be a secret meeting place. Everyone would see us going down the garden to it. Barbara, what's your idea? Oh, it's a silly one,
said Barbara.
There's an old hut in a field near our house, and... I know it,
said Peter, scribbling in his notebook.
Not a bad idea, Barbara. You, Pam? I simply haven't any idea at all,
said Pam.
I've thought and thought, but it's no use. Not very helpful,
said Peter, putting a cross against Pam's name in his notebook.
You, George? Well, there's an empty caravan in a field not far from here,
said George.
I know who owns it. It's a friend of my father's. I think I could get permission for us to use it. You, Jack?
said Peter.
And don't suggest anywhere near your house because of Susie. I'm not going to,
said Jack.
I'm not quite so silly as that. I've chosen somewhere a long way away, down by the river. It's an old boathouse that nobody ever uses.
Peter wrote it down solemnly.
Now, we've heard everyone's idea except mine and Janet's. We went out hunting together, and Scamper came too, and we've all got the same idea. What?
Asked everyone.
Well, it's a cave in the quarry near the field where we grow potatoes,
said Peter.
So it's on my father's farm and not very far. Well, we'll now put all our ideas to the vote.
And he handed round slips of paper.
Please write down on these papers what ideas you like best, but nobody must vote for their own idea, of course.
Everyone solemnly wrote something on their paper, then handed them to Peter. He opened them and read them.
Well, it's funny, but everyone except me and Janet have voted for the cave. We couldn't vote for our own idea, of course, so it's 5 votes for the cave, and the cave it'll be. Let's go and see it straight away,
said Jack.
It's not very far. All right, come on then,
said Peter.
We'll have a quick look and then plan what to bring to it tomorrow. We'll settle into it at once. This way,
said Peter, and led the way down his garden and through a gate into a field. Scamper ran in front.
He'll show you,
said Peter,
just as he showed me and Janet this morning.
Scamper ran up to what looked like a rabbit path, over a little sandy hill, then down into a hollow behind. The others followed. Scamper stood waiting for them, his tail waving to and fro. He ran through a gap in some thick bushes and disappeared. The others went through the gap too and looked for Scamper. He'd gone.
He's gone into the cave,
said Peter, grinning.
You can see the entrance just there. It's all hung over with some plant that has sent long trailing stems down and has almost hidden the entrance to the cave. Come on, it's really quite exciting.
The secret 7 crowded together to see the cave. There was no proper path to it, and they had to squeeze through close-growing bushes of bright yellow broom to get to it. The bushes grew almost up to the cave entrance.
No wonder Janet and I never spotted this cave before,
said Peter.
We've been in this old sand quarry heaps of times, but never found the cave. It was only because old Scamper disappeared and we went to look for him that we found it.
The trailing stems that hung down over the entrance certainly hid it very well. Peter pulled the greenery aside.
It's like a curtain,
he said.
Look, now you can see in properly.
Everyone bent their heads and looked in. It certainly was a fine cave.
Nice and big, and with a lovely sandy floor,
said Jack. By now they were all in the cave.
Nobody would ever find it,
said George, looking round.
It's a bit dark, that's the only thing. It's that green curtain over the entrance that makes it so dark.
Janet obligingly held the curtain back, and the sun streamed in.
Fine,
said Colin.
We can have the curtain back when we're just playing about, and draw it when we're having a secret meeting. And look, the cave has a rock roof, all uneven, high here and low there,
said Barbara.
And there are rocky shelves around the walls. We can use those to put our things on. We'll bring the shed cushions here,
said Janet.
And a box for a table. And keep food here, and lemonade or orangeade,
said Jack.
Won't it be fun? Yes, and you'll have to be careful not to let Susie follow you here,
said Peter warningly.
I'll be very careful,
promised Jack.
Well, I must say this is a jolly good place for the Secret 7. Not too far away, perfectly secret, quite lonely, and our very own. Can any of us come here when we like, Peter? Yes. I don't see why this shouldn't be a kind of headquarters as well as a meeting place,
said Peter.
Anyone can come here whenever they like, but please leave it tidy, and don't go and eat all the food we leave here. Of course not,
said everyone at once.
Now let's see. We'll come tomorrow at 10 o'clock,
said Peter.
And bring what you can to make the cave comfortable and homey. Bring books if you like. The cave's quite dry. Oh, and games.
Peter held back the curtain of greenery till everyone had gone out. Then he let it drop into place and arranged it so that hardly a bit of the entrance showed. Nobody at all would ever guess there was a big cave behind it, going right into the hill beyond. Scamper came out last of all, his tail wagging madly. The 7 all walked back to the gate at the bottom of Peter's garden, and then up the garden to the front gate. They said goodbye and went off to their different homes, thinking exciting thoughts. Next day, Peter and Janet felt very excited. They went down the garden to collect the old cushions they had had in the shed. They were very laden indeed, as they made their way down to the quarry. Scamper carried a bone in his mouth. Peter and Janet were there before the others. They drew aside the curtain of greenery and went in. The curtain fell behind them.
"Don't draw it back yet, till the others come,"
said Peter.
"They'll have to give the password outside the curtain before we pull it back."
Janet set down the cushions. Peter put down the box he had brought. It was heavy, because he had filled it with all kinds of things. He began to unpack.
"Hand me the things,"
said Janet.
"I'll arrange them nicely on the rocky shelves."
Peter looked at his watch.
"It's almost 10.
He said.
You go on arranging things, and I'll wait just at the entrance behind the curtain and ask for the passwords."
Almost immediately there came a soft shuffle outside.
"Password,"
said Peter in a low voice.
"Easter egg,"
said Colin's voice. Peter pulled aside the curtain of greenery, and Colin came staggering in, carrying a big cardboard box. He collapsed on the soft, sandy floor.
"Golly, I never knew books were so heavy. I brought my whole set of Famous 5 books to put on the shelves for anyone to borrow, and they've nearly dragged my arms out."
A small cough came from outside the cave. Someone was waiting to be allowed in.
"Password,"
said Peter at once.
"Easter egg,"
said two voices together, and Peter lifted the green curtain. In came Pam and Barbara, both together, Pam giggling as usual. They both carried parcels.
"Janet will see to those,"
said Peter, taking up his post by the curtain again. Soon he heard the soft sound of feet coming quietly over the sand outside, and heard too the noise of people squeezing through the thick bushes of yellow broom.
"Password,"
he said, and two voices answered together.
"Easter egg." "Not so loud, idiot,"
said Peter, and pulled aside the green curtain, grinning widely at Jack and George. He peered cautiously behind them.
"It's all right. I slipped off while Susie was at the bottom of our garden,"
said Jack, staggering in.
"I've brought 2 bottles of drinks and 2 siphons of soda water."
Soon the cave was beginning to look quite cosy and furnished. The box table was in the middle. Cushions were here and there on the sandy floor, ready for anyone to sit on. Arranged on the uneven ledges of the rocky wall were Colin's books, and some of Jack's. Plastic cups had been neatly put in a row by Janet, and on a wider ledge she'd put Jack's bottles and siphons. A tin stood in one corner. It had in it some of the food the 7 had brought. And on another ledge stood a tin of boiled sweets, a packet of oatmeal biscuits, and 2 bars of chocolate brought by Pam.
"It all looks very good,"
said Peter approvingly.
"Very good indeed."
"Yes, we found places for everything,"
said Janet, pleased.
"That corner over there belongs to Scamper, by the way. That's where he's buried the big bone he brought with him. Please don't disturb it, anyone."
"I'm hungry after all this,"
announced Jack.
"I vote we choose something to eat. We've got a very well-filled larder." "I'll have a ginger bun,"
said Colin.
"My mother made them yesterday. They're lovely. Let's begin with those."
So there they sat, all the Secret 7, happily munching ginger buns. The cave was a great success. On rainy days it was a wonderful place to lie in and read, or play games. Each of the 7 burrowed into the sand and made his or her own bed or hole. Each had a cushion for their head. The shelves were always kept stacked with papers and magazines, and with food and drink.
"We couldn't have found a better place,"
said Colin.
"Jack, does Susie ever bother about where you disappear to for hours on end?" "Goodness, yes,"
said Jack.
"I have to be awfully careful not to let her follow me when I come here."
"Let's go into the quarry and play hide and seek,"
said Janet, getting up.
"The sun's out again, and I'm longing to stretch my legs."
So off they all went. Jack was chosen to shut his eyes and count 100 before he began looking. The cave was to be home. Jack stood by a tree at the other side of the quarry, counting nice and slowly. When he'd counted 100, he looked round and glanced towards the cave, which he could just see between a gap in the broom bushes that hid it so well. Then he stared. Someone was slipping into the cave. Who was it? He just couldn't see.
"That's not fair,"
thought Jack.
"They haven't given me the chance to find them. Well, I'll soon find out which of the 7 it is, and tell them what I think of them."
He saw a patch of blue nearby and recognised Pam's frock behind a bush. He rushed at her, but she escaped and ran squealing to the cave. Then he found Barbara, Janet and Scamper together, crouching behind a great hummock of sand. He ran to catch them and fell headlong over a tuft of grass. They rushed away, the girls squealing and Scamper barking. He nearly caught Colin behind a tree, but Colin was too quick for him.
Let's see. That only leaves one more,
said Jack to himself.
The first one I saw going into the cave, then the 3 girls, then Colin, myself. So there's just one more. There's Peter or George.
He hunted here and there, and then suddenly fell over 2 giggling boys. It was Peter and George, half buried in the soft sand. Jack grabbed at Peter and caught him, but George escaped through the cave.
I'm caught all right,
said Peter, grinning.
I'll be he next. Let's call out to everyone in the cave. Wait a minute,
said Jack, looking puzzled.
There's something I don't understand. Let's go up into the cave.
Peter went with him to the cave, where the other 5 were waiting.
What don't you understand?
asked Peter.
Well, listen. First, I saw someone slipping into the cave immediately after I'd finished counting, which wasn't really fair. Then I found Pam, then Janet and Barbara, then Colin, then you and George. Well, what's puzzling you?
asked Peter.
Just this. That makes 8 of us, not counting Scamper,
said Jack.
And what I want to know is, who was the 8th?
They all counted. Yes, Jack was right. That made 8, not 7. Everyone said at once that they hadn't slipped into the cave before Jack discovered them.
Well, who was that first person then, if it wasn't any of us?
said Jack, really puzzled. Everyone began to look round uneasily. Peter pulled the green curtain back as far as he could, and the sunshine filled the cave, except for the dark places at the back.
There's nobody here,
said Pam.
Oh, Jack, do you suppose it could have been Susie?
I don't know. I only just saw somebody, but I haven't any idea who it was,
said Jack. Peter took down a torch from the shelf of rock nearby and switched it on. He flashed it towards the dark corners at the end of the cave.
Come forth,
he said in a hollow voice.
Come forth, O wicked intruder!
But nobody came. The far corners of the cave, now lighted brilliantly by the torch, were quite empty.
It's strange,
said Jack, frowning.
Very strange. Give me the torch, Peter. I'll go and see if there's any corner or hole at the end of the cave that we haven't noticed. Well, there isn't, said
Peter, giving him the torch.
Janet and I had a good look when we first found the cave.
All the same, Jack went to the far end and had a very good look round, flashing the torch everywhere. There seemed to be nowhere that anyone could hide. He came back, still looking puzzled.
Cheer up,
said Peter.
Let's go on with the game. My turn to find you all. Go and hide.
Nobody said any more about Jack's idea that someone had slipped into the cave. Jack began to think he really must have imagined it.
It's time to tidy up and go home,
said Peter at last.
What a mess we seem to make when we've been in the cave for even a short time.
The girls shook up the cushions, and the boys gathered up the rubbish and put it into a bag to take home. They went out of the cave, and Peter pulled the green curtain carefully across. Then off they went home.
Same time tomorrow,
called Peter, when they all said goodbye to him, Janet and Scamper, at his front gate.
No, you've forgotten. We're all going to bike over to Penton to see the circus come through,
said Colin.
We're meeting at 11 at my house. Oh, yes, how could I forget?
Said Peter.
We'll go to the cave after lunch tomorrow afternoon.
Next day they had a good morning, watching the long circus procession passing through the little town of Penton. Then they biked back for their lunches, and at various times set off to the cave. Pam and Barbara arrived first. Pam very pleased, because her granny had given her a tin of peppermints for the Secret Seven to enjoy.
I'll put them beside the other tins,
she said.
Hello? Look, Barbara, there's a tin on the floor of the cave. Who do you suppose knocked that down? We're the first here today. Perhaps it overbalanced,
said Barbara.
And I say, look, we left a whole bar of chocolate, a very big one, just here,
said Pam.
I put it there myself. That's gone. It's probably somewhere else,
said Barbara. Then she herself noticed something.
Goodness! Look! 3 of our cushions are missing. Has somebody been here? It's Susie,
said Pam, frowning.
That's who it is. She didn't come with us to Penton today, so she must have come here instead. She's followed Jack sometime or other and found out our meeting place. Blow, Susie. Here are the others,
said Barbara.
Let's tell them.
The curtain was pushed aside, and in came Colin and George.
Susie's been here,
said Pam angrily.
Look, there are cushions missing, and our big bar of chocolate is gone, and the tin was on the ground. And look, these currant buns we were saving for today are nearly all gone,
said Barbara, opening a tin.
Would you believe it?
Soon Peter, Janet and Jack arrived, and were also told the news.
But it needn't have been Susie,
said Peter, trying to be fair, though he felt perfectly certain it was.
It could quite well have been a tramp.
He'd have taken lots more things,
said Pam.
And what would he want with cushions?
That's true,
said Peter.
Well, Jack, you'll have to find out if it's Susie. All right,
said Jack, looking troubled, and went off to find her. The others each took a peppermint from the tin that Pam offered them, and settled down to read. Colin finished his book, and went to get another. He gave an exclamation.
One of my famous 5 books has gone. Has anyone borrowed it? It's 5 Go Down to the Sea.
Nobody had,
I know it's not Jack,
said Colin.
He's just finished reading it. My word, if that's Susie again, I'll have something to say to her.
Jack came back in about an hour.
Easter egg,
he said, outside the cave, and Peter called him in.
Well,
he said, throwing himself down on the sandy floor.
I've had an awful time. Susie says she's never been near our new meeting place. She says she doesn't even know where it is. She flew into such a temper when I accused her of coming and taking things that Mother heard her and came to see what was the matter. Oh, blow,
said Peter.
You might have kept your mother out of this. What happened next? Mother made me tell her where our meeting place is,
said poor Jack, looking really miserable.
I couldn't help it. Really, I couldn't. She made me. Was Susie there when you told?
asked Peter.
Yes,
said Jack.
She was, and she said she was jolly well coming to find the cave and make a real mess of it. I don't think she did come here this morning. She was with Jeff all the time in the garden. Mother said so. Now that Susie knows about our cave, I think that someone must be here on guard whenever we're not here,
said Peter.
I wouldn't be surprised if she brought Jeff with her and turned the whole place upside down now,
said Jack gloomily.
You don't know Susie like I do.
Well, let's make things jolly unpleasant for them if they do come,
said George.
Let's balance a jug of water on that ledge over the green curtain. As soon as the curtain is moved, the jug will overbalance and pour water all over them.
Pam giggled.
Yes, let's do that.
And let's do what my cousin once did to someone he didn't like,
said Colin.
He got a reel of cotton and wound it all over and across the entrance to our summer house, and he dipped it in honey first. Then, when this awful boy walked into the summer house, he walked right through the sticky threads and thought that an enormous spider's web had caught him.
How horrible,
said Pam, shuddering.
But who's got cotton or honey? Nobody here. I can run indoors and get a reel of silk from my workbox,
said Janet.
And there's some honey in a jar in our larder. I know there is. But aren't we being rather horrid to Susie? No, Susie will only get caught in our tricks if she finds the cave and comes to turn it upside down,
said Pam.
It'll be her own fault if she gets caught, nobody else's.
Janet ran off to get the honey and the reel of silk. Barbara complained because her cushion was gone, and she now had nothing to rest her head on.
I suppose whoever took our cushions did it for some kind of silly joke,
she said,
and probably threw them into the bushes somewhere.
I'll go and look,
said Colin, and got up. But the cushions were nowhere to be seen, and he soon came back. Janet came with him, having got the reel and the honey.
We'll get the tricks ready when we go home to tea,
said Peter.
I'll slip up after tea to make sure that no one's been into the cave, and I'll come last thing at night too.
Just before they left, they arranged the booby traps. Janet ran the grey silk thread through the sticky honey, and the boys wound it back and forth across the entrance to the cave, twisting it round the plants that lined the edges of the cave entrance from top to bottom.
I hope Jeff comes with Susie. I can't bear him,
said Jack.
And shan't I laugh if Susie comes back sticky and wet? Come on, let's go.
After tea, Peter went up to the cave to examine the booby traps. They were still there. The jug of water, half hidden by leaves, was still in place, and he could see the grey, sticky threads gleaming behind the green curtain.
Susie and Jeff haven't been yet,
he told Janet when he got back.
I'll slip up again just before it gets dark and have another look.
So up he went once more to the cave. But again, the booby traps were still there, untouched. Jack came to see Peter just before 9 next day.
I came to tell you that Susie's not been near the cave. I kept an eye on her all yesterday evening and this morning. She's gone off to her music lesson now, so we're safe till 12 o'clock anyhow. Right,
said Peter.
Well, help me with the few jobs I have to do, and then we'll go up with Janet and Scamper. We'll try to get there just before the others come.
So, at 5 to 10, Peter, Janet, Scamper and Jack made their way up to the quarry and then up to the cave. They looked up to where the jug was so carefully balanced on a ledge and grinned.
I'll get it,
said Jack, and climbed up to remove it.
We'll have to break these threads ourselves,
said Janet. They broke the threads as carefully as possible, so as not to get themselves sticky, and went into the cave. And then they stood there in astonishment, gazing round as if they could not believe their eyes. The tins were all opened and emptied. Some were flung on the floor. 2 more of the cushions had gone. A bottle of orangeade had disappeared, and so had a siphon of soda water. The tin of peppermints had completely vanished, and also some more books. A torch that Colin had left on a shelf had gone too.
But how could anyone get in?
Stammered Peter, utterly astonished.
Our booby traps were still there. Those threads were quite unbroken. Nobody could have come in. And yet, look at this. I don't like it. There's something very odd going on in this cave, and I just don't like it. You know,
said Jack, looking all round him fearfully.
You know, Peter, I was quite certain I saw somebody slipping into the cave that time we played hide-and-seek. You kept saying I must have imagined it, but I didn't. Well, certainly somebody's about, somebody who likes eating and drinking,
said Peter.
And if he didn't get into our cave from outside, he must know a way from the inside. Scamper seems jolly interested in the cave this morning,
said Jack.
Look at him sniffing and nosing around.
Scamper certainly was interested. He ran over to the place where he had buried his bone, dug it up, and carefully took it to another corner and buried it there. Peter laughed. Janet looked round at the untidy cave with its empty tins and scattered books. Tears came into her eyes.
I made it all so nice,
she said.
We had such a lot of good food here. Who is this horrible visitor who comes when we're not here and steals like this? Where does he come from? How does he get here if he doesn't come in at the entrance?
I said I didn't like it, and I don't,
said Peter.
I vote we clear up this cave and find another meeting place. It's going to be no fun if we keep having our things stolen and messed about by some unknown visitor.
Yes, I don't feel as if I want to be here any more either,
said Janet.
It's a shame. It's such a fine place. Well, the others will be along soon, so let's just clear up a bit and we'll tell them when they come.
It wasn't long before the others came, all 4 of them, chattering and laughing as they walked through the old quarry. As soon as they arrived at the cave, Peter told them what had happened. They stared at his grave face and listened in astonishment to what he told them. Then they began to clear up the cave. It was really very sad. Scamper watched them in surprise. Why were they looking so miserable? Why were they packing up everything? Well, he'd certainly better get his bone then. He couldn't leave that behind if everyone was leaving the cave. He ran over to the corner where he'd buried it. His sharp nose sniffed something else, not far off on a low ledge of rock. Did it belong to the children? It didn't really smell like any of them. Scamper sniffed at this thing on the ledge and then picked it up in his mouth. Perhaps it did belong to one of the children after all. He ran with it to Peter and dropped it at his feet with a little bark.
Hello, Scamper, what is it?
Said Peter. He bent down and picked up a small, dirty notebook with a frayed elastic band round it.
Anyone own this?
He asked, holding it up. Nobody did. Jack came up, excited.
Peter! It might have been dropped by our strange visitor. Look inside.
Peter slipped off the elastic band and opened the little notebook. His eyes suddenly shone.
Yes,
He said in a low voice.
it does belong to our visitor. And here's his name, look! My word, this is a find! He dropped it when he came raiding our cave last night.
They all crowded round him in excitement. Peter's finger pointed to a name scribbled at the front of the notebook.
Albert Tanner.
He said.
He's our mysterious visitor, Albert Tanner. Who can he be? Well, we'll find out somehow. Let's clear out of here quickly,
Said Colin in a low voice, looking nervously all round the cave.
and examine the notebook in secret. Good idea.
Said Peter. They left the cave and went out into the bright sunshine, each carrying a load. Soon they were all sitting on the little bench that ran round the old summer house, with Scamper panting on the floor in a patch of warm sunshine. Peter took the worn notebook out of his pocket and opened it. The others crowded as near as possible to see what was in it. Peter turned over the pages.
Oh, there doesn't seem to be much, actually. Just a few notes of money and various dates, and a few words scribbled here and there. Let's see, yes, potatoes, turnips, tomatoes, flour. Just a shopping list, I suppose.
Jack took it from him and looked through it too. At the back was a folded-in piece of leather to hold paper money. Peter hadn't noticed it. Jack slipped his fingers in to see if anything could be there. Yes, a slip of paper, small and torn, with something scribbled on it in a different handwriting from Albert Tanner's.
Look here.
Said Jack.
This was in the back of the notebook. See what it says. It's a note to Albert Tanner. What does it say?
Asked Janet, excited.
Anything of use to us?
Oh, it's just scribble.
Said Jack, screwing up his eyes.
It says, "Don't write it. Jim knows the place. He'll tell you. Meet him on post office seat, 8:30 p.m., 15th, Ted." The 15th? That's today!
Said Peter.
Read it again. It's evidently an important message. But how mysterious.
What's this place Jim is going to tell Albert? My word, if only we could know it. We could go to the place Jim says and have a good snoop around.
A little feeling of excitement began to stir in everyone. Colin caught hold of Peter's sleeve.
I'll go to the post office seat tonight and sit there. Perhaps I shall see this Jim and hear what he says to Albert. I shall see Albert too.
There was a silence, and the excitement suddenly grew stronger.
All of us 4 boys will go.
Said Peter.
Not the girls, just us 4.
You can't.
Said Janet.
We're going to see Westwood Ho at the cinema. Mother's taking us both. And George is coming too, don't you remember?
Blow.
Said Peter.
Oh, well, we can't get out of that without giving the whole thing away. Oh, Colin, you and Jack must go. And for goodness sake, listen with all your ears and hear what's being said.
Right.
Said Colin, thrilled.
Can you come, Jack?
Rather.
Said Jack.
And what about us shadowing Albert and Jim, Peter? One of us could follow Albert, and the other one could follow Jim. A jolly good idea.
Said Peter.
I only wish I could come too, but it's no good. I begged and begged to go and see Westwood Ho, and I can't get out of it now.
They pored over the little note again, written in a bad handwriting, hurried and careless. Peter read it out aloud once more.
Daren't write it. Jim knows the place. He'll tell you. Meet him on post office seat, 8:30 p.m., 15th. Ted.
Would there be something hidden in this place that's in the note, do you think?
Said Janet.
Yes, probably.
Said Peter, thinking hard.
And if it's hidden, it's valuable. And if it's valuable, it may be stolen goods. Yes, goods stolen by Ted, whoever he is, and hidden away.
Said Colin.
Or stolen by Ted and Albert, and Ted hid them, and then got caught, perhaps, and went to prison. And now he wants Albert to find them.
Everyone laughed.
You've made quite a story of it.
Said Jack.
I don't expect it's anything like that, really. All the same, as soon as we know the place, we'll certainly go there. If only we can get there before Albert does. Yes, and that's not going to be so easy.
Said Peter.
Maybe Albert will go there at once.
I hope he does.
Said Colin.
We'll be shadowing him, and he'll lead us right to this mysterious place, wherever it is.
Colin met Jack that evening at 8 o'clock outside the post office. It was dark, and there was no moon. They spoke together in low voices as they went over to the wooden seat nearby.
"What shall our plans be?"
said Colin.
"The seat is just by that big chestnut tree. Shall we hide behind the tree, or get under the seat, or what?"
"We mustn't both of us be in the same place,"
said Jack.
"Otherwise, if the men see us and send us off, we'll neither of us hear a word.
I vote one of us gets behind the tree, and the other one up the tree." "Oh, that's a jolly good idea,"
said Colin.
"You'd better climb up the tree. I've got a stiff knee, and it's bandaged." "All right, I'll climb the tree,"
said Jack.
"but I'd better do it now before anyone comes."
It wasn't long before Jack was perched in the thick branches of the chestnut tree. Colin went behind the tree and leaned against the trunk, waiting. The church clock chimed 8:15. Colin's heart began to beat faster. This was fun. 10 minutes went by, and then somebody came slouching along, in rubber-soled shoes, a shadowy someone who kept out of the light of the street lamps. He sat down on the seat, and Colin almost stopped breathing. Jack peered down cautiously from the tree, but it was so dark that he could make out very little, except that the man was smoking a cigarette. Another shadowy figure appeared from across the road, walking silently. It joined the man on the seat. The two men sat a little apart, saying nothing, and the listening boys held their breath again.
"Cigarette?"
said the first man at last.
"Thanks,"
said the second. The first man took a packet from his pocket and offered it to the other man. Then he struck a match and lighted the cigarette, which the second man had now put into his mouth. The flare of the match told him what he wanted to know.
"You're Albert,"
he said quietly.
"That's right, isn't it?"
But before Albert could even nod his head, something happened that made the two men almost jump out of their skins. Colin sneezed. He always had a very loud sneeze indeed, but this one was tremendous.
Phew!
In a trice, Albert had whipped behind the tree and got hold of the startled Colin. He held him in a grip of iron.
"What are you doing here? Hiding behind the tree?"
He shook poor Colin until the boy felt as if his head would fly off. The other man came round the tree too.
"It's only a kid," he said. "Box his ears and let him go. We don't want any noise here."
Colin got a blow on the head and went staggering away, almost falling. Albert ran at him again, and the boy fled for his life, terrified. Jack, up in the tree, felt very scared too. Should he go to Colin's rescue? No. By the time he'd got down the tree, it would be too late. Colin had run away, so he was all right. Jack clung to the branch, trembling a little. The men stood under the tree together.
"Better clear off,"
said the first man in a low voice to Albert.
"You've got something to tell me,"
said Albert.
"Yes. The Scarecrow,"
said his companion, lowering his voice.
"That's where it is. Look by the Scarecrow."
"Thanks," said Albert, and slouched off silently, and was soon lost in the shadows. By the time Jack was safely down the tree, both men had completely disappeared. Jack made off as quickly as he could, feeling decidedly scared. Was Colin all right? He'd better go to his house and see if he could find out, without letting anyone else know why he'd come. When he arrived at the house, he saw a light in Colin's bedroom window. Good. He threw up a pebble and hit the window pane first time. The window was opened cautiously, and Colin's head came out.
"Colin! It's me, Jack! Are you all right?" "Yes, quite. That fellow gave me a jolly good box on the ear, but I got home all right, and no one saw me coming in. What about you? Did you hear anything?" "Yes, but nothing really helpful,"
said Jack.
"What a terrific sneeze that was of yours, Colin." "Yes. My goodness, I thought I—"
began Colin, and then drew his head in quickly. Jack heard him speaking to someone in his bedroom, and ran out of the gate as quickly as he could.
"The Scarecrow,"
he thought.
"What does that mean? I don't know. Perhaps Peter will. Golly, I can hardly wait until tomorrow morning to tell him."
The meeting in the summer house the next morning was quite exciting.
we've got news,
said Jack, feeling extremely important as he looked round at the expectant faces of the others.
Well, back up and tell us then,
said Peter impatiently.
All right,
said Jack.
Well, Colin and I met by the post office at 8 o'clock, and the men came at past. Colin hid behind a tree, and I climbed up into it. Jolly good,
said Peter approvingly.
Just as the men were beginning to talk, Colin did the most terrific sneeze you ever heard,
said Jack.
Honestly, I nearly fell out of the tree.
Goodness!
said Janet.
Whatever happened then?
Well, the men ran round the tree and found poor old Colin, and that bruise on his cheek is where he got hit.
Everyone gazed in awe at Colin's bruise, and he felt very proud indeed.
He had to run for his life, and there was I, stuck up the tree,
went on Jack, enjoying himself immensely.
I can tell you it was quite an adventure. Well, then the men spoke in low voices again, but I managed to hear the important thing. The first man, he must have been the Jim mentioned in the letter. He said, "The Scarecrow,"
said Jack, lowering his voice just as the men had done.
"The Scarecrow, that's where it is," he said. "The Scarecrow." Then the two men went off, and I hadn't time to shadow them because I was up the tree. You did jolly well,
said Peter.
Jolly well. It was a pity about Colin's sneeze. Still, you heard the main thing, Jack, and that was the word Scarecrow. What does it mean, though?
asked Jack.
Do you know? Does it mean a real scarecrow? No, there's a tiny inn called the Scarecrow up on the common,
said Peter.
I've often passed it when I've been in the car with my father. We'll go up there and snoop around. I bet that's where something is hidden. Loot from some robbery, probably.
Oh, yes. I remember seeing that inn too, and thinking what a strange name it had,
said Janet.
Peter, let's go now, before Albert gets away with anything.
Yes, we'd certainly better go now, this very minute,
said Peter.
Get your bikes. Colin, is your knee too stiff to bike, do you think? I can pedal all right with one leg,
said Colin, who wasn't going to be left out of this morning's excitement for anything.
Meet at the crossroads by the old barn,
said Peter.
Wait for each other. Then we'll all set off together. My word, we're really onto something now.
George was the only one who had come on a bike. The others set off to get theirs. Peter and Janet fetched their two from the shed and set off with George to the crossroads, Scamper running excitedly behind them. Soon everyone was at the crossroads, even Colin, who could only pedal with one leg. Jack came last, looking hot and cross.
What's up?
asked Janet, seeing how upset he looked.
Did you get into trouble at home about something?
No, it's Susie,
said Jack with a groan.
She says that she and Jeff went up to our cave this morning. You know I had to tell Mother about it in front of Susie. And when she saw we'd gone, she and Jeff decided to have it for their meeting place. Isn't that maddening? Oh, well, let them have it if they want to,
said Peter.
Much good may it do them. Albert will probably visit them as he did us and take their things. Serve 'em right.
I wonder how Albert gets into the cave if he doesn't use our entrance,
said Janet.
We know he used it once because Jack saw him that time when we were playing hide-and-seek, but he didn't use it when he robbed us of all those things. Those silk threads at the entrance weren't broken, you remember?
I imagine that our dear friend Albert may be somewhere at the inn called the Scarecrow,
said Peter.
He probably won't be using the cave much more if he finds what he's looking for.
Look, there it is! The Scarecrow!
said Pam, riding ahead.
What a funny old inn! Hundreds of years old, I should think. Come on, everybody! Isn't this exciting?
The Secret Seven came near to the old inn. It was certainly an odd place, almost tumbled down. Outside a sign swung in the wind, creaking dismally.
The Scarecrow,
said Peter, leaping off his bicycle.
Here we are. Look out for Albert, everyone.
They leaned their bicycles against a hedge and walked over to the inn. No one was about. The whole place looked completely deserted.
It seems to be shut,
said Peter, puzzled.
Yes, look, there are bars across the windows and across the front door too. Wooden bars nailed on. It must be closed down,
said Jack.
Let's go round to the back. We can ask for a drink of water or how to get to Penton or something like that.
So they all went round to the back door of the inn. A woman was in a little yard there, hanging out some washing. An old grey-haired woman with a very disagreeable face.
Could we have a drink of water, please?
asked Peter, in his politest voice.
There's the well. Help yourself,
said the woman.
Thank you. Is the inn closed now?
asked Peter.
Yes, it's been closed for months,
said the old woman, pegging up a sheet.
I just caretake, and it's a lonely job up here on the common. You're the first people I've spoken to for about 6 weeks, except for the milkman and the grocer's boy.
Oh, then you don't know anyone called Albert, I suppose?
Asked Peter, as innocently as he could.
Now don't you be so saucy,
said the woman angrily.
Who told you my old man was called Albert? You call him Mr. Larkworthy, and you mind your manners. See, there he is. I'll send him after you if you're cheeky.
The Secret Seven saw an old bent man coming out of the inn with a stick in his hand, on which he leaned heavily. Goodness, they hadn't meant to be cheeky. How could they have guessed that the old woman's husband was called Albert?
We didn't mean your husband,
said Peter hurriedly.
We really didn't. We're just looking for someone called Albert that we thought we might see here this morning.
Well, I won't have any cheek from children,
said the old woman.
You clear off now before I tell my husband to chase you.
The 7 went away slowly, taking a good look at the little place as they went. They walked to their bicycles by the hedge.
What do you think, Peter?
Asked Jack.
Do you suppose Albert came here at all? No,
said Peter.
I think we're on the wrong track. I think that cross old woman was speaking the truth. She probably hasn't seen anyone here for weeks.
Goodness, I did feel awful when she said her husband's name was Albert. No wonder she thought we were cheeky. What are we going to do now?
Asked Janet.
Peter, do you suppose it's a real Scarecrow we have to look for?
Peter considered.
Yes, it might be.
I was so sure that the old inn was the place meant that I didn't really think about proper scarecrows. But we can't go chasing over the countryside looking for all the scarecrows in the fields. Well, yes, we can,
said Colin.
Quite easily. All we've got to do is separate and bike over the place, and whenever we see a scarecrow, get off and see if anyone has been disturbing the ground by it. I bet whatever is hidden is well dug in beside a scarecrow.
They all rode off together, Peter calling out orders as they went.
You take the west road, Colin and Jack. You the east, Pam and Barbara. You take the north, George. And Janet and I will turn at the crossroads and take the south. We shall cover most of the countryside then. Meet at 2:30 this afternoon in the summer house.
The 7 had a disappointing time hunting for scarecrows. Pam and Barbara found a most fearsome one in the middle of a field, his coat flapping like mad in the wind. They went to examine him, but as the soil was quite hard all round him, they knew that nothing had been hidden and dug up beside him. So off they went to find another. Colin and Jack found 2. One was in an allotment, and although they were sure that it couldn't be the one they were looking for, they went up to him all the same, and examined the ground nearby. A man came into the allotment with a spade over his shoulder. When he saw the 2 boys there, he shouted at them angrily. Colin and Jack fled for their bicycles. The next scarecrow they found was in a field of young wheat, and no sooner had they walked over the field to the scarecrow than a farmer appeared with a dog. The boys just had time to make sure that the earth round the scarecrow was undisturbed before the dog flew at them. "Ah! He'll bite you next time!" called the farmer as the boys leapt on their bicycles.
I don't think I like this scarecrow hunting much,
said Colin, whose stiff leg was hurting him.
That's twice we've had to run, and I just can't bend my knee properly.
George, cycling quickly up and down country roads, thought he spied a scarecrow at the end of a field. He jumped off his bicycle and squeezed through the hedge, only to face a surprised and angry farm labourer, hoeing vigorously.
"Oh, sorry, I thought you were a scarecrow,"
said George, very foolishly, backing away through the hedge. The farm labourer, angry at being called a scarecrow, flung a clod of earth at George. It shattered into bits all over him. George spat some out of his mouth.
"Ugh, that was a good shot on his part,"
said George, riding away.
"I don't know that I like this scarecrow business much."
Peter and Janet had examined 4 scarecrows, for their particular roads ran between big farms, and great fields lay on either side. Quite plainly, no one had been into the field to disturb the earth near any of the scarecrows. They got home just in time for their dinner. Their mother looked in horror at their shoes, which were covered in mud from the soil in 2 very wet fields they had walked over.
"Where have you been?"
she said.
"And what in the world were you doing to get your shoes so filthy? Take them off at once and leave them outside."
"We went to look at scarecrows, Mummy,"
said Janet.
"and we found one with a thrush's nest in his hat. That's how we got our shoes so dirty. But we'll clean them up ourselves."
"You should go and see the scarecrow old James has put up in the oat field," said her father, who was already at the table. "He tells me it's got a robin's nest in each pocket."
"But how did he know?"
said Janet in astonishment.
He's almost blind, poor old man. He can't even see the clouds now to tell him the weather.
Well, he's not too blind to see that somebody had been walking over his precious oat field, said her father. He followed the footsteps, and they led him right to the Scarecrow, and that's how he found the 2 robins' nests in the pockets. Peter pricked up his ears at once.
Somebody walking over our oat field to the Scarecrow?
He said.
Who, Dad? And why?
Goodness knows, said his father. There are plenty of foolish townspeople who think they can walk all over growing fields. There's one of them, I expect.
Why all this sudden interest in scarecrows?
Inquired their mother.
I hope it soon wears off. I can't allow you to get your shoes like that again.
Peter and Janet longed for dinner to be over. As soon as they were allowed to go, they shot out into the garden and slipped on their dirty shoes.
It was our Scarecrow we should have looked at,
said Peter.
I could kick myself. Come on, let's go now and examine the soil round it. We'll take a fork in case we may find something, though I'm afraid that Albert has got there first. Buck up!
Peter and Janet ran down the garden and out of the gate at the bottom. Round the potato field and over a stile they went. And there was the oat field, its green rows as bright as emerald. In the middle of it stood the Scarecrow, put up by old James. He was a fine one, and wore one of James's old hats, tipped over on one side. But Peter and Janet didn't look at the Scarecrow, or even at the robin's nests in the sagging pockets. They looked at the ground around his wooden legs. And Peter gave a deep groan that really might have come from the old Scarecrow.
Oh, we're too late, Janet. Look! Someone's been here. There are footprints all round and about. Not only old James's hobnailed ones, but somebody with rubber sole shoes. Albert's.
Yes,
Said Janet, her eyes on the ground.
and the soil has been well dug up. Something was hidden here beside the old Scarecrow. Oh, Peter, why didn't we look here first?
It wouldn't have been any good.
Said Peter gloomily.
I expect Albert came last night and got the stuff, whatever it was, and will be off and away.
Yes, I suppose he will.
Said Janet dismally.
I wouldn't be surprised if he knew that it was hidden in this district, and that was why he came and hid in our cave, so as to be on the spot to speak to that other man. What was his name? Jim, and to get the stuff easily.
They had a look at the 2 cosy robin's nests, both of which had tiny feathered nestlings inside, and then walked back home. It was about 2:30, and the other members of the Secret Seven were waiting in the summer house. They were very downcast at Peter's news.
Well, we were none of us successful in our Scarecrow hunt this morning.
Said Jack.
No wonder, if the loot had been buried by your Scarecrow, Peter. What bad luck.
What shall we do now?
Asked Pam.
Everything seems dull suddenly, now that we've not got our cave any more and the adventure has faded away.
Well, I'm going up to the cave.
Said Jack, standing up.
I think I left my torch there, high up on the ledge. I hope Albert hasn't taken it. It's rather a nice one, and I'd like to get it if it's still there. Right. We'll all come, just for the walk.
Said Peter.
We could take spades and dig in the old quarry. The sand is moist in parts, and you can model quite well with it. Let's do that.
So they took 4 spades from the shed and 3 trowels, and off they went to the quarry. Jack went up to the cave, and then stopped short in surprise. Someone was there. He could hear excited voices. Then he frowned. He knew one voice. It was Susie's. He went into the cave, still frowning. Susie and Jeff were right at the back, scrabbling about. Whatever were they doing?
Susie,
He called sharply.
what are you doing there?
Susie turned round, and then came quickly over to her brother.
Jack, I'm glad you've come. Something peculiar has happened.
What?
Asked Jack impatiently.
Oh, don't be cross, Jack. I really am glad you've come.
Said Susie.
Listen, Jeff and I came here, and we thought it was a lovely place. We made deep holes for ourselves. Mine's over there, look, and Jeff's is opposite by the rocky wall. We thought perhaps you others might be coming, so we practically covered ourselves with sand, just left our noses out to breathe, and we waited for you so that we could give you loud yells and leap out at you when you came in, thinking nobody would be here.
Jack gave a snort.
Is that all you've got to tell me? That's not very interesting.
Oh, do listen, Jack.
Said Susie.
Well, we lay like mice, only our noses out, waiting for you to come in at the front entrance there. And then somebody came out from the back of the cave and trod heavily on poor Jeff and went out of the entrance. and yet we know the cave was empty when we came,"
said Jeff.
"We looked to make sure, but there's nowhere for anyone to hide or to come from. So who was this person, and how did he get here?"
Jack was listening intently. This was news. He turned to the entrance of the cave and yelled loudly,
Peter, Janet, everybody, come here quickly! Quickly, I say!
Peter, Janet, and all the others threw down their spades and trowels and raced to the cave at top speed.
"What is it?"
cried Peter. Then he saw Susie and Jeff and stopped.
Clear out!
He cried.
This is our cave, not yours.
Wait, Peter.
Said Jack.
Susie's just told me something peculiar.
He told the others what Susie had said.
So there is some way into this cave from the back.
He said.
I know we've looked and looked, but there must be. Susie, did you hear anything at all before this fellow walked out of the cave?
"Yes,"
said Susie.
"I heard a kind of thud. So did Jeff. As if someone had leapt down onto the sandy floor.
Said Jeff.
Like this."
He jumped into the air and came down, making a soft thud.
Then the way in from the back must be from somewhere up near the roof.
Said Peter.
Anyone got a torch? Here's mine.
Said Jack.
I found it on the ledge where I'd left it.
Peter took it.
Come on.
He said.
We're jolly well going to solve this mystery.
There was quite a crowd at the back of the cave. Peter shone his torch onto the roof there. It was fairly high. He saw a rocky ledge jutting out, and thought he would climb up to it.
Give me a hand.
He said to Jack.
Hold the torch for a minute, Janet.
He was soon up on the ledge, and then shone the torch onto the roof again. He gave a sudden exclamation.
"What is it?"
Shouted everyone, almost dancing with excitement.
There's a round hole here. You can't see it from where you are.
Said Peter.
And there's a rope end hanging down. I can just reach it.
The others craned their necks to see what Peter saw, but they couldn't. The hole was hidden by a jutting-out piece of rock.
I can get hold of the rope,
He called down.
and I think I can pull myself up by it. I'll try anyway.
He caught the rope in both hands, and then by means of treading on first one narrow ledge of rock, and then another, he managed to get right into the hole. He let go of the ledges with his feet, and swung on the rope with his hands. He climbed up it, as he did at gym, and came to a broad ledge, where he rested for a moment or two. Then he stood on the ledge, putting his head up through the hole that still went upwards, and found that he was looking out of the hole into another cave above. He shone his torch around. He gave a yell to the others down below, but to them his voice sounded curiously muffled and hollow. They were quite startled to hear it.
I say, there's another cave here. A much smaller one. And some of our food's here. And all our cushions and books and magazines. And there's a bag, too. A small mail bag. It looks full of something.
Peter came down the rope, found the ledge he needed to climb down from, and leapt to the ground. He pushed the others away as they crowded round him, and went to get some air at the front of the cave.
Tell us, what did you find?
Said Jack.
We heard you yelling. There's a cave up there, with all our things in it. And there's a bag, a mail bag, I think. Probably full of registered envelopes. Goodness knows how long it was buried beneath our Scarecrow.
"My word, that's a find,"
Said Janet, her eyes shining.
Now listen,
Said Peter.
he may come back at any minute, but he won't dare to come into the cave while people are here. I'm going to tell Dad, and he'll phone the police. You stay here, all of you, till I come back. Then Albert won't be able to remove the stolen mailbag. I'll leave Scamper with you too. Right.
Said Jack, taking charge. Peter ran at top speed to find his father.
Dad!
He called, seeing him by the barn.
I say, Dad! Quick, I want you!
Peter's father could not make head or tail of the boy's breathless story at first, but at last he made out enough to call his wife. "Will you telephone to the police and tell them to come at once, and go to the cave in the quarry?" he called. "I'm off there with Peter. Tell you what's up when I get back." He went off with the excited Peter. Soon they were at the cave, where the others, talking loudly, were waiting anxiously. The green curtain was tied back now, and Peter's father gazed into the cave. "I'd forgotten this old cave," he said. "I used to love it when I was a boy. Do you really mean to say there's a cave above it, Peter?" "I never knew that, and yet I played here heaps of times,"
"So did we,"
said Janet.
"Come and see where the hole is that leads into the cave above, Daddy."
We had this cave for our Secret Seven meetings,
explained Peter.
and we couldn't make out who took our things or why. We didn't guess someone was in hiding in a cave above us. There's a mailbag up there, Dad. Do you think the fellow stole it?
Probably. You'd better shin up and get it when the police come, said Peter's father. I wonder how long it's been hidden there. Quite a long time, maybe.
No, only since last night.
Said Peter.
It was buried beside that scarecrow in the oat field, Dad.
So that's why you were so interested in scarecrows all of a sudden, said his father. I wonder if your mother has telephoned the police yet. Run back and see if they're coming, Peter. Peter set off through the quarry with Scamper at his heels. But halfway through, Scamper left him and ran behind a hummock. Barking madly, Peter followed him. He saw a curious mound in the sand, which as Scamper leapt on it, put out hands and feet. Then a head. "Call him off!" said a voice. "Call him off!"
Who are you?
demanded Peter, catching Scamper by the collar.
I say, I know who you are. You're Albert, aren't you? Waiting till we're all gone so that you can fetch that stolen mailbag and empty it. You meant to leave the bag up in that cave, stuff your pockets with the contents, and slip away free. You're...
No, said a deep voice. What's all this? And who's this fella lying in the sand? Surely it's Albert Tanner. We've been looking for you, Albert, ever since the last mail robbery.
It was the inspector of police. Behind him was a solid village constable, looking as if this kind of thing was very ordinary indeed. The inspector turned to Peter and beamed at him.
Hello, Peter. I knew as soon as your mother phoned that you were caught up in one of your adventures. Is Albert here anything to do with it?
Yes, sir.
Said Peter.
Look, my father's over there by the cave. He's waiting for you.
Bring Albert along,
said the inspector to his policeman, and Albert was duly brought along to the cave. As soon as Peter's father saw him, he gave an exclamation. "Why, it's Albert Tanner! And I told you never to show your face in this district again, Albert."
You know him, sir, do you?
Said the inspector, getting out a big notebook. "I should think I do," said Peter's father. "He was brought up here on this land in a cottage not far off, and worked for me for a few years. But he was so dishonest I had to dismiss him."
That's how he knew this cave, then.
Said Peter.
And the one above. He must have explored like we did.
Albert didn't say a word. He stood there, sullen and angry. The inspector threw a glance at him. Then he turned to Peter's father.
"This man and another did a mailbag robbery," he said. "The other man hid the bag somewhere, meaning to get it when the commotion about it died down. He worked on this farm once too, sir. His name's Ted Yorks."
"Ted Yorks? Yes. He was here for years," said Peter's father. "He was a bad lot too, but a fine hedger and ditcher, which is why I kept him so long."
"Well, as I said, these two planned this robbery," said the inspector, "and the mailbag was hidden, ready to be found, and the contents shared between the two of them in due course. But Ted got caught and put in prison, where he is still."
But he managed to get a note out of prison to Albert to tell him how to find out where he'd hidden the bag.
Cried Peter.
I see it all now. Albert came to this cave to hide till he heard from Ted, because he knew the police here were still looking for him, and he didn't dare to show his face. And when he got Ted's note, he went to meet that man Jim, the one on the seat by the post office, and learnt that he had to look by the Scarecrow.
Said Jack.
I heard Jim say the Scarecrow, that's where it is. And of course, Albert knew it was our Scarecrow.
"These kids know all about you see, Albert,"
said the inspector, looking at the surly man.
"Where did you put that mailbag after you dug it up, Albert?"
"I'm not saying anything," said Albert, "except that I don't know anything about any mailbag, and it's no use asking me."
I'll get the mailbag, shall I, sir?
Said Peter, much to the inspector's surprise. He looked at Peter quite astounded.
"The mailbag? Don't tell me you know where that is," he said. "Right. Get it."
So off went Peter to the back of the cave, shinned up the wall, caught hold of the rope, and disappeared. Then a voice came down the hole.
Stand by, everyone! Mailbag on the way!
There was a heavy thud on the soft sand, and there was the mailbag. Its fall had broken it open, and registered envelopes and packets came tumbling out.
"Phew,"
said the inspector, amazed.
"This is magic. Hey, Peter, any more mailbags to come?"
Peter came down the hole, laughing.
No, sir. That's the only one. Is it the stolen one?
"Yes," said the inspector.
Well, I'm afraid Albert won't be able to steal any more mailbags for a long, long time. Take him away, Constable.
Albert was marched away, still sullen and silent. "Come in and have a word with my wife, Inspector," said Peter's father. "She must be longing to know what all this excitement's about. Peter, here's a £5. Take all the Secret Seven out and give them a thumping good tea, ice creams and all. You've done well, my boy." He went off with the inspector, who waved a cheery hand to them. Peter turned to the others, beaming. He waved the money at them.
Look at that! We'll have a spread. Come on.
Susie and Jeff went out of the cave with the others. Jack gave his sister a little push.
You're not coming with us, Susie. We're the Secret Seven and you don't belong. You go home.
Oh,
Said Janet, seeing Susie's downcast face.
couldn't she come just for once? I mean, she did tell you about Albert coming out of the back of the cave when she and Jeff were there, Jack, and it was because of that we managed to find the other cave at last. Oh, couldn't she come?
No, we're the Secret Seven.
Said Jack.
And Susie would only laugh and sneer at us all the time, like she always does. And Jeff, too. No.
I won't. I think you're wonderful.
Said Susie.
Let me come just this once, Jack. I do want to hear all about this exciting adventure.
You can come, Susie.
Said Peter, taking command.
And Jeff, too, just this once. My word, it's a story worth telling, I promise you. It'll take us at least 4 ice creams each before the tale is told. It's a jolly good adventure, you'll have to admit that, Susie.
It was. And Susie's going to say so too when she's heard it. Good old Secret Seven. They always get there in the end, don't they?